Hello, this is Pastor Bev, and I'm here with Kelsey, and we are bringing you another installment of this podcast, Grace and Truth with Pastor Bev, which we should probably rename Grace and Truth with Pastor Bev and Kelsey.
If you only want to.
Yeah. And we hope that you are having a lovely and great day today. So we are working our way through the women of the Bible, and really we just got started, and yet this is like the fifth episode of this. So we've got a long ways to go. This is probably going to be a two-part episode. We are going to be talking about the baby wars. Now,
The baby wars.
right, the baby wars. So we're going to be talking about Leah and Rachel, who were the wives of Jacob, and their surrogates, Zilpah and Bilhah.
Isn't it?
Thank you. So what we're going to be doing is today is we're going to be going kind of in depth about their relationship with Jacob, their relationship with each other as sisters, and we're gonna dive into deep the meaning of the names and why the mothers gave the kids their names. I mean, there's literally one that I call Mandrake Boy, because basically he's the product of some mandrakes, and that's kind of what his name represents too.
Wow.
So, stay tuned. This may be a little rough. It's going to be a lot of detail, but we're just gonna dive right in. So, Jacob is the son of Isaac and his wife Rebecca. Rebecca was, and Isaac had gone to his uncle's part of the area to get a wife, and based on his father's request. So now is the time for Jacob, and we know Esau already had a few wives. We talked about that last week, your last episode, if you remember, that Jacob had a couple of wives who were
Esau.
Yeah, Esau. Esau had a couple of wives who, well, he got an Ishmaelite wife, but he also had a couple of Canaanite wives too. But Esau and Jacob, they were, button heads. And so Rebecca said, I don't want Jacob to marry any of these Canaanite wives. So Isaac sent Jacob to Haran, the city of her brother, whose name is Laban, and basically to find a wife. And it was also to save his life, because if he had stuck around and
It's Cain and Abel too.
it would be Cain and Abel part 2. So, and we would not have the Israelite legacy at all. So Jacob goes out there, and very much it's kind of a repeated pattern that we see, that Jacob meets Rachel, who is a shepherdess. And, he says, well, my family's from here. I'm kind of looking for my uncle Laban. And yes, I'm paraphrasing that. Those are not the actual words in the Bible. So he met his uncle's family, but when he met Rachel, it was like love at first sight. And Rachel is described as lovely in form and beautiful. So, okay, we could understand that. She's a shepherdess, she's got some skills, and she's really pretty much, I think, the only shepherdess that's ever mentioned in the Bible, except for maybe
Yeah.
Moses' wife.
Zipporah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think only those two are known as shepherdesses.
Yeah.
So
I think everybody else that dealt with that was always men.
right.
Yeah.
So this gives an indication that Laban didn't have any sons. So Jacob goes out there and he meets her father, he meets the rest of the family, he meets her sister Leah, and just going to stop a minute because I didn't explain what Rachel's name meant. Are you interested?
Yes.
According to the Hebrew, Rachel or Rachel means ewe. E-W-E, like a female sheep. That fits for a shepherdess.
Yeah.
And according to Strong's dictionary, the females are predominant in the flock. And this entire section of the Bible is female predominance in the flock. So, okay, so we've got that. She was a shepherdess and she was the preferred wife. Now and I said before, she's described as lovely in form and beautiful. And her sister Leah was her older sister. And can we guess what Leah means? Any guesses? According to the Hebrew, it means weary.
Like you're tired?
Tired, or I've also seen translations that, kind of tired, but she's introduced in the Bible as having weak eyes.
Oh.
Now, some transfer that, or some of them interpret that as having lovely eyes, but I'm thinking that's probably not the case. She was the older sister. If she had weak eyes, is it possible, is it rational to think that she did not have great eyesight? She was born without great eyesight.
They didn't really have glasses back then.
They did not have glasses back then. So what are her prospects of having a husband? No. So Jacob wanted to marry Rachel. Father, and I really think that Leah and Rachel were both kind of in on it too. I think Rachel fully knew what was going on, but her sister she had no prospects. Otherwise, I don't think that this would have played out the way it did. But
yeah, because that tradition of the eldest daughter has to marry first, then it goes down the line.
But we don't know if it was actually a tradition or not, or did he just make that up?
Yeah.
It's hard to say because Laban was a little slippery, and we know that he was an idol worshiper. So.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
He had household idols.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that Rachel stole, which we're going to talk about next time. So there's this great masquerade, I think is the best way to put it. So Laban disguises Leah as the bride, and Leah is taken to Jacob. And I'm sorry, but I don't know how he could not know that it was not Rachel. I don't know. But it says that he woke up and he was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Let's give a little grace.
Well,
so
too, if he disguised her and stuff, she might have stayed disguised through
could be
nighttime.
Could be.
And weddings, they already drink wine a whole lot.
Well, and it was dark, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, we really don't know, but okay, this is what we have. These are the facts that we are working with. So he had worked for, I think it was 5 years in order to marry Rebecca. And Jacob said that it just flew right on by. 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for checking on that.
Yeah.
He didn't want to work for another 7 years, so I think it was a much shorter time, and then he actually got to marry Rachel too. But still, he pretty much purchased both of the wives, meaning that they had no dowry. So, okay, so he worked for the honor of having the wives, and Rachel was not having children, but Leah did. And not just one child either. So let's get into these baby wars, because she's like, nah, 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 nah. Well, it's explained in Genesis 29:30 that the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, and the Lord gave her a child through Jacob, and she named him Reuben, which means, behold, a son. Woohoo! Right? Okay, that's pretty easy to understand that. Okay, first-time parent, she's great. She's, on cloud 9. I have a baby. And her sister does not. Now remember, they're sisters. Anybody who has sisters, like, I've got 3 sisters. Okay. But Rachel was the loved one, but Leah was the baby maker, pretty much. So then she had another son. She named him Simeon, which means heard. Heard, like hearing with your ears, because the Lord heard that I am not loved. Man, isn't that sad? It just kind of breaks your heart when you think about Leah. Her sister's the one who's loved. Okay. So then she gets pregnant again, has a third child, another son. She named this one Levi, which means joined to. Because she says, at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So you see, all this time, in these 3 different names, she has this longing for Jacob. So I really think that she was in love with Jacob. It's like one of those romantic triangles.
Yeah. She was in love with him, he was in love with her, and
yeah. I mean, it's just kind of classic Hallmark movie channel kind of thing here. But you just feel sad for Leah. And yet, she became pregnant again. And with this son, she named him Judah. Now remember, Judah is the line. It was, the Lion of Judah. Well, Judah means praised. Out of all of her children, this is like the best one, because she says, now I will praise the Lord. So it seems like she's kind of put her longing for her husband, but now with her 4th son, she's like, man, I just praise the Lord because I have 4 children. My sister has none. That brings us to a pause. Leah stops having children. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, Rachel envied her sister. This is in chapter 30, verse 1. So she said to Jacob, "Here is my maid, that she may bear upon my knees." So what it is we would call it a surrogate mom. I know that many times they're called concubines, but I don't think that they were treated like concubines. I think that they were treated more like surrogates, and because Rachel and Leah named the children, and they were there at the birth. They just didn't carry the child.
Right.
So it's kind of confusing too, with all of these children and all the different names. It gets kind of confusing. So if you're with me, you're doing good, right? So her servant Bilhah, which her father gave her, she's a surrogate, and her name means troubled.
Ooh.
I know. Troubled in Hebrew. Well, she has a son, and she named him Dan, which means a judge in Hebrew. And Rachel said she named him that because God has vindicated me. See, she had this set up very much like Sarah did with Hagar. So there was precedent. She said, God has vindicated me and given me a son through my maid. Cool, right? Well, she was happy. So then Bilhah had a second child, another son, and Naphtali, however you might pronounce it, means wrestling. Yeah, like, what's it called? The WWE? Yeah, wrestling. Rachel said, because I have wrestled with my sister and I have won. Because even though Leah had first wife status, Rachel had first wife authority.
Okay.
And it wasn't the way things were supposed to be. Leah was supposed to have all that status, all that authority, but yet Rachel was the one that Jacob loved. So she probably spent the most time with him, probably expected the most children. Right. And the Lord said, mm-mm. So, then we got to go back to Leah now. Because Leah's son Reuben went out and he got some mandrakes. Mandrakes are like figs, okay? So, like a figgy Newton, like I had one with lunch today. And Rachel said, can I have your mandrakes? And Leah said, well, what? You've stolen my husband? You want to steal my son's mandrakes too? Again, paraphrasing, but it's pretty close. Yeah. So you can see that there's tension there. And so Leah says, okay, fine. You let me sleep with Jacob. So she pretty much bartered. And what does his name mean? Well, the son that was the product of that union was named Issachar, which means paid. Really? Yeah, he was bought and paid for. It was a transaction over some figs. Because Leah said, God has given me my hire because I gave my maid to my husband. No. She bought him. She bought him. Then Leah had another son that she named Zebulun, which means exalted. Because Leah said, God has endowed me with a good dowry. Now my husband will honor me because I have borne him 6 sons. So still, just now my husband will honor me. This means that Jacob has not been honorable towards her. That pretty much infers that.
Because he didn't really want her.
No, he didn't really want her.
He wanted Rachel. He put in those...
But he wanted something, because, she had 6 children with him, so, But he had to have an heir.
He had to have an heir.
But he didn't stop.
Yeah.
So, okay. These biblical figures, they're real people just like us. And finally, Leah's last child, she had a daughter named Dinah, which we'll talk more in depth about Dinah, and her name means judgment.
Ooh.
I know. So I'm sure that is going to kind of come into play when we get to her story. Her story is wow. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Rachel. Rachel has a child. She names him Joseph. God has taken away my reproach. I love that. God has taken away her shame. And she was actually able to carry a child to term.
Right.
But yet, the name Joseph means Jehovah has added. Or some would say, and she said, may the Lord add to me another son. So she's got one son. She doesn't name him for himself or the characteristics or the qualities. She's like, okay, God, give me another one. It's like, really? And then about 5 chapters later, they left the home of their father. A significant amount of time had passed, and Rachel has another son named Benjamin. She was on her deathbed. I'm sure it was a difficult pregnancy. And she named him Benoni, which means son of my sorrow, because she was dying. She knew that she would never be able to raise this son. But Jacob overrode her. And this affirms the love triangle, because Jacob named him Benjamin, which means son of the right hand. Son of the right hand. Rachel was his right hand. Rachel was like his right hand. She was a shepherdess. They raised sheep. They raised goats. They had the whole thing with the speckled goats and the striped goats. And I don't know if we'll be talking about that, but that was basically how the Lord was able to build up Jacob's flock out of his father-in-law's flock, and how they were able to eventually leave. But son of the right hand. This is the only child that Jacob actually named. Out of all 13 children, the only one he named. The women named all the rest. And now you can see, just by the names of the children, you can see the conflict that was there. You can see the back and forth. You can see the entire love triangle, how Leah longed for honor, for relationship, for her husband to be tied to her, to have that longing, and let's see, what is it called? Unrequited love. And it still goes on today, you know? So many women long for a person that they can never have. And it's really sad. Really sad. But Rachel's no innocent. I love the fact that the tribe of Judah, the Lion of Judah, is the one that the scepter will never depart from Judah. Do you remember who says that? The scepter shall never depart from Judah. This is our quiz, Kelsey. You're like, no, I didn't know there was going to be a quiz. I know. I went right to it. How do you like that? Genesis chapter 49, verse 10, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until tribute comes to him, and the obedience of the peoples is his. Jacob pronounced that over his sons. When he was giving his sons the blessings before he died, the other sons, Reuben and Simeon, well, we'll talk more. We'll talk about why they did not receive blessings at all. And in fact, they were both pretty much disinherited. There is no tribe of Reuben. There is no tribe of Simeon because they were disinherited by Jacob. Judah is the only one where either of the women said, "Now I will praise the Lord." It's the only time that they referenced the Lord in their struggles or anything else. And I think that this is part of the reason why it goes into so much detail about the children and about Leah and Rachel and about the baby wars, is because through Judah ultimately receives the inheritance. And through Judah, we receive Jesus Christ, because Judah is a direct ancestor of Jesus Christ. The scepter shall never depart from Judah. Wow. So when we go back, and I know it was a whole lot to go through, but when we go back, it's really all tied to Jesus Christ. There are so many people who say that the Old Testament doesn't mean anything, that it's invalid, that we don't need it. We do need it, because until we can understand the Old Testament, we will never understand the New. And until we can understand the relationships that these have, we will not get it at all, because God is all about relationship. Leah, the one who had so many children, she gave praise to the Lord. She didn't steal an idol. So I think she was not an idol worshiper. In fact, let's go over again. The Lord saw that Leah was not loved, because the Lord heard that I am not loved. Judah, I will now praise the Lord. Oh, I forgot to include Zilpah's two sons. I just realized that. So
the other maidservant.
The other maidservant, Leah's maidservant, during her time of pause.
Which was between Levi and Judah, or?
Between
Judah and Issachar.
Judah and Naphtali.
Oh, okay.
She had Gad, which means troop. Hey, we got a troop coming now. I think so. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Leah, for those who are keeping track. Leah said, according to King James, a troop cometh. I love that. And the NRSV says that it means a good fortune. That sounds a little bit better than troop, don't you think? But hey, troop. And Asher was the next child through her surrogate Zilpah, which means happy. Leah said, happy am I, for the women will call me happy. She didn't have anything to worry about because she had all these children. And then the Lord gave her 3 more.
3 more.
3 more.
So he recognized that, like she said, the Lord knew that I was
unloved.
So he gave her abundance of children that would love her. But she wasn't getting the one love that she wanted. But she was finally, like you said, with Judah and stuff, she finally recognized these kids are here for...
They're a gift from God.
Yeah,
this child is a gift from God, and I'm just going to rejoice over that.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't mean that she didn't hire the surrogate later, which she did. But I think it's just an amazing part of the Bible. And if we skip over this or read over it, and instead of trying to dig a little bit deeper, trying to understand a little bit more, then I think we're doing it an injustice, and we're doing our faith an injustice. Don't just go by what people, what they put on little cards, like greeting cards, or, the quote of the day, the Bible quote of the day, or the verse of the day. But when you dig deep and you can see these connections, how the synergies that are all within the Bible, and all of this comes into play, and it still does today, know that Jesus Christ is totally connected all the way back to Jacob, Isaac, Abraham. It's continuous. So I guess that's our lesson for today, folks. I almost wanted to say boys and girls. There's probably more females looking at this but I hope that you've enjoyed it. So next time, we're going to talk a little bit more about Leah and Rachel, and we're going to kind of continue the second part about leaving their father's house, because that's another significant part. It's not as significant as the names, which is why I wanted to start with the names first. But next time we're going to talk about the significance of leaving their father's house, the significance of their dowry, because this is really the only time where we learn about a dowry. And we're going to talk about that idol thing again. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like us, please subscribe to the Mears United Methodist Church on our channel or on the Facebook page. Go ahead and follow us, and we will see you next time.
And if you have any questions and stuff, you can more than welcome to put them on the comments on the bottom of it, and we'll collect those and we'll try to answer them as well.
I think it would be good for us to have an episode further on down the road where we just do questions and comments.
Answers. Yeah.
Okay. So, goodbye, my friends.